Hi everyone, welcome to episode 21 of HR Leaders Live, the show where we discuss the future of work with today's most innovative and successful people leaders. My name is Chris Rainey, co-founder of HRD Leaders and host of the HR Leaders podcast. Today I'm joined by
Hi.
Matt Burns. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
What are you doing? What are you doing in the studio? You just gate crashed my podcast. How you been?
I've been really well. I
Nice.
just got back from a trip to Zurich where you put on one of your events. It was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so this is the first time, guys, even though it's episode 21, we've done 21 episodes together.
Yeah.
And it's the first time we've actually met face to face. So
Do you regret the last 9 months?
I think your hair looks better in person, though.
I would agree with that as well.
Yeah. So what brings you to London?
Well, you know what? I had an opportunity to attend your event in Zurich, and I had a great time meeting with HR leaders across Central and Western Europe. And I was already in that neighborhood. I thought I'd stop by and just see how you were doing here in London.
What was your experience like in Zurich? First time actually come to one of our events, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's just nothing like meeting with other HR leaders at that VP CHRO level. The quality of conversation you get is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then the dialogue, like we're talking about real issues affecting HR, transformation, digitization, big data. I mean, really important topics that I know every HR function is thinking about right now. So just to hear some of the, not only challenges, but the solutions that these leaders have,
Yeah.
absolutely unbelievable value, and looking forward to the next ones.
Amazing. I'm going to put you on the spot now.
Oh.
You have to choose one session. What was your favorite session on the day?
Yeah, I got to give a hat tip to my fellow Canadian Nigel Miller.
Favoritism there.
Yeah, I mean, Nigel, not only was the content outstanding around just the general consensus of where people are thinking about in terms of brands and organizations, but gave some really good value around the importance of using your employees in your marketing campaigns, both as a sales tactic, but also as an employment branding tactic, and to step away from the CEO conversation. So I thought that was great. And then also the delivery is great because he's just a charming Canadian.
Why were you in London? You came to Zurich. Why London? What brings you here?
Well, like I said before, I was in the neighborhood and I wanted to have a chance to meet with some folks that I've been on LinkedIn now. My LinkedIn journey started about 12 months ago. I think we've all heard the story.
Yeah.
500 connections to 30,000 in 90 days, which
Don't
is
rub it in.
obscene. It's obscene. I guess here's why.
I'm catching him. I'm 28,000, guys. I'm catching him.
But here's why. I'm a practitioner.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about things that are real
Exactly,
and putting things into terms that people can relate to and understand. And, I'll be honest, when I first started talking, Chris, I didn't think people would actually want to hear what I had to say. But it just turns out that as with more and more feedback, people are saying, you need to share more, you need to share more. So I built a lot of really great relationships here in the London market. And it was a great chance to put a face to both your name, but also to a lot of other folks.
Right? That's how we met LinkedIn, and then here we are.
And some other folks here in the market as well. So I had a chance to have some great meetings the last couple of days. And then I'm back to Vancouver on Sunday.
I'm always encouraging our audience to jump on social media, especially the HR practitioners. I think there's so much value there. Could you share your experience with everyone in terms of, because I think a lot of people are scared to open up and to put themselves out there. But I think in this day and age with the era of social media, I think you have to.
It's tough because in the HR profession, we're taught from a very young part of our profession that privacy is paramount. So how do you strike the balance between being transparent when you're dealing with employee privacy? And I think the way I've rationalized it is, obviously no names are mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't even reference companies in a lot of cases. But the experiences most HR practitioners can relate to. So I don't need to mention either.
Yeah, they know what you mean.
Yeah, and they've lived those. They have those
exactly.
scars.
Yeah,
They know what to do with that information. So how I've done it is really just to share my own personal thoughts. And I'll be honest, not everyone agrees with what I have to say, but I love the dialogue.
That's part of it.
I love that.
You want that, right? You want that debate.
Totally. I don't have the market cornered on good ideas. I love the dialogue and the conversation back and forth. We don't, as a profession, do nearly enough of it.
Yeah.
Which is another reason why I love the events.
Exactly. We have, as I was about to say that 90%, if you're not being to one of our events, guys, 90% of the day is spent in conversations. Every single person in the room is a CHRO or VP level, and that's where the value comes. It's that, and as you said, it's those conversations in the corridors. There's conversations in the corridors, a conversation over networking. Some of the best conversations happen there, and you can't get that.
Well, when you have a speaker like a Nigel Miller, he's giving you such great value of content, but I'm taking notes while he's talking. And then, yeah, you're absolutely right. In the roundtable sessions, when it's just the practitioners discussing, or then in those hallway conversations on a one-on-one basis, that's where the real magic happens. And, I certainly walked away with a lot of connections that I would never have met before, and real deep personal connections. And I have some phone calls lined up for next week. We're going to have conversations. And I think the important thing is HR people are wired to help.
Yeah.
But we don't help each other enough.
Yeah, it's true.
Right?
It's
We're the
true.
last
It
ones
seems
to help
crazy. Which seems completely crazy when you think about it.
Think about the training budgets we have in our organization, in some cases in the millions of dollars. How much is set aside for HR?
That blows me on mind every day. I'm not going to mention names, but the amount of companies that I speak to all the time that say, I can't get sign off for my own personal development to come
Right.
to one of your meetings, Chris, or for the travel, etc. And I'm like, really? The amount of, it's just,
These are the
it's
people
crazy.
looking after your people
I
and
know.
after your culture. It's not a cost, it's an investment, and frankly, it's a necessary investment today.
Yeah, I think if you're working for a company that doesn't invest in the HR team, then there's clearly something wrong. Something wrong there.
Yeah, you've gone back in a time machine to 1950 when it was
Yeah.
all personnel.
So what's going on with you? What's next for you? What's coming up? What's happening? Anything interesting we need to know about?
Yeah, like I'm here till Sunday, then I'm back on a flight to Vancouver, and then I'm on another flight on Wednesday to Toronto. We were fortunate enough as a team to be recognized as one of the finalists for the HR Team of the Year in Canada in
Oh,
the
really?
retail and hospitality sector.
Nice.
Yeah.
You don't, but you've won that before, right?
No, last year we won the most innovative use of HR technology.
Just that.
Here's the thing. I actually see them as the same award because without
I
the
thought it's-
foundation
yeah,
of
yeah.
technology,
Yeah, it's
we
not
would
something-
never have been able to accomplish what we accomplished in the last year. So to the HR people that are struggling with how does technology have application in our business, for us it was foundational.
Mm-hmm.
So we put technology in as a means of automating all that manual administrative tasks. And then from there, when we built that foundation, we could build the cultural programs, the engagement programs, the employment branding programs on top of that. And that really now is adding the value. And I'm so blessed to be recognized again by our peer groups in that category. So,
Well, guys, this is something that constantly comes up as a challenge for all of you, right? How to use technology in HR. Matt's your guy. He's been there, done it. He's in the position. Won awards for it as well, which makes you feel a bit better. So definitely get in touch. You're going to get a lot of messages now on LinkedIn after that saying, Matt, how do I do this?
I love
Which
it.
technologies do
No,
I
I
use?
love
How
it.
do I implement it?
Chris, as a profession, I think we've talked a lot about the fourth industrial revolution, the future of work. That's a buzzword out there, but the reality is things are changing, and I think HR has a huge role to play in that change. But in a lot of cases, we're asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
But here's the cool thing. With technology, we can get back on track. So if whatever I can do to help the profession move forward using technology, using data, using those cutting edge type methodologies, I'm so happy to do so. So yeah, please send your messages in. Happy to contribute.
I think one of the things that everyone asks me is, how do you get started? It's overwhelming. If you actually look, it's just so overwhelming. There's so many different platforms, so many different technologies. There's so many different stakeholders internally that you need to work with. How did you start?
Yeah, so at first it was pretty easy. We didn't have anything, so it was like
So yeah, it was
my
good.
other option was, do we keep using spreadsheets and paper, or do we
Oh,
actually do
okay.
something with automation? So I think from that case it was a bit simpler. But what I would say is we formed really strong partnerships with our board. So they bought into the plan really, really quickly. So we didn't have to go back to the well constantly for funding and approvals. So they bought in right away. And then the second most important thing for us was getting alignment with our IT department. So
course.
most HR practitioners I talk to build up a list of features. I want, all these different bells and whistles. But what they forget to do is connect it to a broader IT architecture. So we use words like API, which for some folks, they're going to be going, I need to Google that. But API really is the connections that allow systems to
Everything
talk.
has like that now. Right?
Correct. And you got to think about this. If you have 5 systems that are separate from one another and they don't communicate, you have to operate 5 systems and do the same data entry. Put my name in 5 different times. That's just work that when you have 1,000 or
It's the
10,000
opposite of what you're
employees,
trying to achieve, basically.
you're just creating more. That's why you have people who buy technologies and they never actually turn them on because they realize they don't have the resources to sustain them. APIs allow for that. The second thing that our IT department asked for was single sign-on, which again is a term that most folks may not understand. And that really is you put in one username and password, everything goes on. So they're not managing password resets, they're not managing logins. So when our IT department said, these are the things that we need, I built that into my feature list, talked to vendors and said, can I have these technical requirements? And if they'd say no,
Cancel next, yeah.
and then I got to my features. Now, if I got attracted to my features first and didn't have the technology, I would be doing a disservice to the
It's
organization.
so understandable why people get caught that way, other way
course.
around though, because you're always just looking at what you need, the features, and unfortunately you're not looking at, does it actually embed, does it work together?
If you go to any car maker website, Mercedes, Buick, Ford, you can go on and look at the features and you can change the color of the interior and change the color of that. Those are interesting things. That's where people spend their time, on the cosmetic aspects, the user experience, and that's great. But that doesn't mean a lot if it's not efficient in your organization and does not work within your broader IT architecture. I think it's just a requirement going forward. We have to be able to be more comfortable with technology. It's just there's no The question I get a lot, Chris, is, Matt, will AI replace X profession? Like,
No.
will AI replace recruiters? Will AI replace HR? And here's my answer to that question on every occasion. AI is not going to replace recruitment, but recruiters that use AI will replace recruiters that don't.
Yeah, it's empowering them.
Absolutely.
The same with most technology, is empowering us, guys. It's not replacing us, it's empowering us to do our job better. And it will change, of course,
Of course.
but it doesn't mean it's not. I don't think it's going to replace.
But here's the cool thing. When the technology takes over all that manual administration, we can instead focus on things we actually want to be doing as HR professionals.
Which is what we've been talking about for so
Relationships.
long. And strategic tasks.
Absolutely.
Value add tasks, not payroll, not administrative tasks.
Do you want to be putting paper into personnel files, or do you want to work on employment brand?
Yeah, exactly. Or engagement, or your culture.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So where do you see things moving now in the HR? We have we're such a rich topics that we talk about all the time. It's quite hard to go back around. But where do you see, the CHRO of the future? What do you think that looks like?
It's a really, really good question.
It's a big question. It's a big question.
It's a huge question. So I think the skill sets are changing.
Yeah, from a skill set standpoint, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so what I've been talking a lot about recently actually is a combination and a blend between HR and marketing, because I think the skill sets are really complementary in the future CHRO type role. And the three competencies I look for now in HR business partners, but also across my function, is the ability to synthesize large sums of information. 10 years ago, when I was kind of in my earlier stages of my HR career, the problem was we didn't have data. Now we have too much.
Yeah.
So can you synthesize all that information into bite-sized pieces? The second competency is curation. Can you organize it in a way that makes sense? And the third one is storytelling. Can you tell it in a compelling way to drive an
I think that's what we're
action?
missing.
It is what
I
we're
feel like
missing.
that's something, because a lot of the guys I speak to, they now have the technical knowledge and the hard skills, but the soft skills of being able to build those relationships, communicate in your way and tell that story. And also, more importantly, guys, don't just go all over. You need to align it to a business need and challenge. I think that the tendency in HR technology is that we go for all these different features and we try to do all of these different analyses, but what's the current priorities for the organization? How do you align along with those guys and help them?
Want to hear a trick? So I'll offer this. Technology is a means of reducing your manual administration. It often leads to cost savings. And I think a lot of HR professionals are reluctant to look at them because they're afraid that it's going to lead to a loss of headcount, a loss of influence, a loss of resources, a loss of budget. And I think here's the answer to that problem. Have your team, have yourself, go through the organization, look for opportunities to add value. And in this context, that would mean maybe a cost savings or maybe a revenue driver. And then from there, negotiate with your organization to keep a portion of that savings and invest it back into the employees. Because they wouldn't have found it without your support, but by the same token, the organization benefits from a short-term benefit on financials, but on a long-term benefit, you're investing that into employment branding, employee engagement, talent acquisition. It has a long-standing effect, and it's for your employees. The company will benefit anyway.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's going to be pretty easy to get buy-in from your leadership team if those are the type of things that you're solving.
I can save you $100,000. I want to keep 50.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite reasonable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have not met a CFO who says no to that conversation.
No.
But the key is you have to do it at the same time. You can't come in with $100,000 savings, because then it comes, thank you very much, I'll take that money. You never actually get to the second part of the conversation. You need to have both pieces at exactly the same time. Here's the savings, and here's how I intend to use the savings. Half back to the company in terms of hard savings, and then half needs to be invested back into the organization for long-term benefit.
Outside of technology, and by the way, guys, this was completely unplanned. Matt just came in the office, and we just pressed record as we always do. So everything you're hearing right now is just
Like
really,
every other show.
basically like every other show. I love this question. And what are you currently obsessed with outside of just HR technology? What's on your mind? When you're at home on your computer researching, what's really
Communication.
communication?
Because I think traditional communication within companies has been waterfall. It's broadcast. It's traditional media. We're going to produce an over-exaggerated piece of content. It's an employee newsletter, maybe a video, but it feels very artificial, and it rarely actually resonates through the organization and makes its way to the front line. So I'm trying to find ways of how do I connect the front line to the mission and the purpose of the company in digestible pieces. And we've talked about things like podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, I consume 2 or 3 at least a week.
Yeah.
And if I was able to produce content in my organization, 2 to 3 minute audio clips, and put them in a nice curated way, people will listen to them on the bus to work.
Yeah.
They'll listen to them at home. But if you put that employee newsletter in front of them, especially millennials, they're not opening that.
Or a intranet that they need to access, they're just not going to do it.
Well, I'm in retail, so when you have that conversation, the response you get is, I have a smartphone. I'm not going to look at company content on my break. This is my time. So if you want them to engage in your content, like a marketing perspective with a consumer,
Be where they
it has
are.
to be compelling and be where they are.
Be where they are, guys. It's very simple. You don't need to recreate the world. They already have the iTunes app. They already have the Google Play app. They already have Spotify, Stitcher Radio. The list goes on. You upload it to those platforms, and they're going to consume it
Would Gary
in their platform.
Would Gary Vee be anywhere near successful if he put out a newsletter in print?
And if he only did it on one platform. So if you look at people like Gary Vee, if you don't know who Gary is, definitely do a quick Google. You realize, Gary started out on Twitter, was one of the first people that had over 1 million followers on Twitter. Then he saw the shift of attention. It's all about attention, guys, going over towards YouTube and Instagram, and then he pivoted that way. We kind of have to do the same thing with our employees. In the past, it did work. The newsletter was the way to communicate. The intranet was the way. The internal intranet was the way. But now it's social. Facebook Messenger, for example.
Yeah.
Be where they are. So
We're all fighting for attention, whether it's consumers or employees. You have to meet them where they are and produce compelling content, or you're going to lose their attention. They're going to disengage from the company's mission, and that's when you have high rates of attrition.
And you only have to look around you at what's going on. There's a reason why Facebook and LinkedIn have gone heavy into video.
Yep.
It's not just on a whim. There's billions of dollars of research, that people will rather watch a video, a short clip, than read, a newsletter or even an audio file, really, to be honest. And it really depends. Some people prefer to read, some people prefer to listen. Some people, like me, I prefer visually to watch a video. So, and it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost. It takes time, guys, but it doesn't cost a lot.
But the ROI is
huge. It's huge.
I put up a post about 6 months ago where I put a job posting up. That's traditional HR text where I said, this is the job on my team. It's for a change management position. Please apply. But I attached a 4-minute video to it where I told the story about the company, about the role, about me as a leader, and what the person would get from the opportunity. I had 30,000 views in one day. I would never have gotten that.
I know. And it's the same where we are right now, guys. We are a 1.5-year-old business, HR leaders. There's 4 of us in this room. Right? Matt just came and seen the office today, and we've been able to reach over 500,000 people a month with basically no budget. We're using a Logitech webcam, a microphone, a piece of recording software, and here we are. It really is that simple. It doesn't need to be overproduced and professional and have huge production value. It's about the message and the value. That's what people care about.
The authenticity.
And that too. People get to know me. They get to know. They want to know people as well now. It's no longer about who has the best product. People want to buy based on the person behind the business, who you are. They buy into you as an individual. We see this with influencer marketing all the time now. People buy products purely because they're related to someone.
Absolutely.
They pursue to someone know, likes, and trusts. And for you, from an employee, in terms of attracting talent, I think they do have to know, like, and trust your business before even taking that step.
Most people leave organizations because of bosses. So wouldn't you want to know who your boss was before you signed that contract?
That'd be amazing. It would have avoided me a lot of wasted time in organizations as well. It's very important now.
Totally.
And that's one of the reasons why I encourage HR leaders out there to put themselves out there and to talk about their organization, and people get to know you. It's funny because we just met now, but I feel like I've always known that. We've been doing the show and doing videos and podcasts for like over a year now, right? And here you are. So that, Matt didn't fly over to London on a whim. You trusted me that I'm going to be here, that we're going to have a meeting, right? He flew all the way over from Canada to Zurich to join us at the meeting, at the HR Innovation Roundtable. And that was through our relationship that we built online. So it's pretty incredible. Anything else you want to share with the guys before we wrap up?
No, I want to encourage my HR professionals, colleagues out there, that for me, one of the biggest learnings from last year is the power of a network.
Yeah.
We're all going through similar challenges, whether we know it or not. That was one thing I took away from that Zurich session was 30 people in the room, really impressive professionals through and through. They're all experiencing the same challenges.
Yeah.
So if we share those
challenges...
You're
not alone, guys.
Not alone.
You are not alone. And because I hear it all the time from everyone, and I just want people to realize you're not alone. Everyone's going through these challenges.
No. And it doesn't matter if you're in a company of 200,000 employees or 200 employees. The challenges are maybe contextually different, but the root cause is the similar process. Reach out, share with each other, network, talk about the challenges you're facing and then also the solutions and how people, because there's a lot of good examples of people who've solved some of these problems, and how do we share them and cascade them through the broader HR.
Yeah, and also don't be afraid. I think a lot of people are afraid of showing vulnerability as well, but I think you have to be comfortable to share, otherwise you're not going to move anywhere.
Agreed.
You have to be comfortable to do that, and we get that a lot of our workshops. People feel like they can open up to each other and have those meaningful conversations that they couldn't have even in their own business.
Yes.
It takes them actually stepping away from the organization to be able to have those conversations, but you can still achieve that online as well through things like LinkedIn, and we always have those 20, 30 messages a day seeing these conversations happening as well. So
If you feel like you're behind, well, then you're in a good company, because the industry has transformed dramatically over the last 3 to 5 years. I've been sprinting to try and keep pace. I'm not ahead of it. I'm also chasing in a lot of cases. So don't worry that you may not have it all figured out yet, but just start chipping away at the things that are important. And one thing I'll leave people with here is keep it simple. So we only have so much time in our schedules. We don't have time to carve out 2 or 3 days a week to do research on all the technologies coming out. Start small.
yeah,
And chip away. And rather than find reasons to not use technology, find reasons to use technology. Oftentimes an $8 chatbot is more effective
we've seen it ourselves.
than a $3,000 augmented
really is.
reality solution.
Yeah, it is. It is really not as complicated as it seems, guys. Just my advice is just jump in and try it. Again, even as a startup, we've utilized some of these. We have a chatbot ourselves, and it's incredible. It automates so many processes, which are also going to be used for HR.
Yeah.
And it literally costs $10 a month, and it's been in game changer for us. So something small like that can be huge.
I'm bullish on, by the way, chatbots as a replacement for our company intranet.
Yeah, of course. That 100%. We almost kind of use that ourselves as well. But for any small tasks that need to be answered, it can do all
What
of
are
it.
my benefit entitlements?
Yeah.
Help me understand.
How many more days do I have left on annual leave?
Yes. I want to book off Saturday.
Yeah, just all of those things. And not only that, it also then, the person managing it will get a message on their phone and they'll be able to approve it straight away. Or, advise, let you know.
Or
It's just so much easier.
It's just, and it provides a level of service. We talk a lot about employee experience. How much of a better experience is that when they can engage you when they want, how they want, on their terms, than having to wait till Monday morning at 9:30 till you get back in the office?
Yeah, it seems crazy when you think about it that way.
And it's, again, time that's being taken away from the real value-added stuff that HR could be doing, as opposed to responding to the same question 20 or 30 times a
Yeah,
month.
we've gone over this so many times, right, on the show. I thought, guys, stop thinking about it. Go out there, execute, do it, make it happen.
And if you need help, just call me. Like,
Well, Matt,
just
if you need
Yeah.
if it HR technology, he's your man. If you need something for any to be connected to any of these organizations, let me know. I can connect you. It's not a problem. Apart from that, thank you for joining us. This is an impromptu. Jill, let's give a message to Jill, because Jill's not here today because she's obviously not here.
I miss Jill. But no, I don't miss about Jill.
What don't you miss about Jill?
The questions, because she asks tough questions.
That's true. Normally Jill throws out. If you watch our show, normally Jill throws like a right hook question at you.
You can't see it. I'm sweating on camera because and she's like a talented HR leader in her own right. So when she asks questions, she cuts to the core of the issue.
Yeah. Also, hi Jill from the UK. We'll see you next week, Jill, on the show. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Let us know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. If you have any questions for me and Matt, leave them there. Matt will get back to you. I'm just putting him on the spot now. Matt's going to reply to all of your messages, give you the most amazing
I need a
feedback.
chatbot.
You need a chat.
I need a
We're going to get a
chatbot.
Mattbot.
Mattbot.
It's a good name. Someone's already trademarked it.
Hashtag?
Mattbot. Someone's already registered a domain name. We'll see you the same time next week, and I wish you all the best until then.
Take care, guys.
Bye.